All right, guys. So I wanted to do an orientation video for the lab that is also online. So I am teaching both the full session for 16 weeks and the first section, the 8-week one. And so I've got a video doing both of these, but the only difference between the two of my classes is the dates that things are due. I treat y'all both the same. Um, so I just wanted to show y'all how it's set up. So the homepage is set up a little bit different than the lecture homepages. We've got announcements, which is really big and right front and center with the announcement for the class. Of course, syllabus and syllabus quiz, please do them. They have to be done by, the syllabus quiz needs to be done by Friday um, at midnight, just like in lecture. So please do the syllabus quiz. I've got a nice little widget over here on the lab that's got my contact info right here, right on the homepage, so everybody's can get it. This is my Google Voice phone number right here. If you need to text, call, get a hold of me, that's a little bit easier than my office phone because I'm only in my office on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that I feel like is a little more helpful. Then I've got, the links for the team meetings for the office hours. So if you need to book office time, please do click this link and book it. If you need a time outside of those office hours, we can make that happen probably. So just get a hold of me and we can try and link up so we can chat. So that is homepage. We've also got the content browser, but there's not much there. The calendar is at the bottom, which I'm not a super huge fan of. I really like it more to the top so you can really see everything and when things are due, but it is here on the homepage. You just gotta kind of scroll a little bit for it. But don't despair. I've got dates, embedded in everything, just like I told you I do for lecture. So dates are in the syllabus. Dates are also embedded in the quizzes on the courses. So hang on there with me. All right. So next up is syllabus. So syllabus for this class. Let's get all the way to the top again. Um, so contact info again, that we just talked about. The communication policy, same as lecture, 24 hours during the week, 48 on the weekend. Textbook is the same, lecture and lab is the same, but we've also got some really amazing content in lab that's built in. So I'm going to show you that later. All of the good stuff in here about tech and tech specs. We've got the CLOs. We've got the attendance policy, same as lecture. Please get your attendance quiz in. A thing about lab and the attendance quiz, the way lab is set up, you can't see all of the content in lab. There are tons of things in there that you can't see until you do the syllabus quiz. You've got to do the syllabus quiz and score 100 on the syllabus quiz. So get all 10 questions right. So maybe pull up the syllabus and then take the quiz while you're doing it. So you can get all those questions right because then that unlocks everything in the class. So I think all you can see are the practice material until you can get to the heart of the class. You can't see it until you do the syllabus quiz. So please do that as soon as you can. I know there was an issue in the beginning when the class first came online, but I think I've resolved that issue and other people have already started taking the syllabus quiz. So we should be good to go there. So please do log in with Respondus Lockdown browser or monitor and take the syllabus quiz. So as soon as you score 100 on your syllabus quiz, you are good to go for the rest of the content that will open up once you take it. Grading scheme, same as lecture, 10-point grading scheme. The assessments, how do you make an A in lab? Okay, so with lab, we are going to have lab quizzes. These are graded lab quizzes. There are also several practice lab quizzes that are in there too. You can practice to your heart's content with the practice quizzes. The lab quizzes themselves, those things are graded. There's also soft chalk. So for every topic, bones, muscles, dermatology, whatever it is. For every topic, there's at least one quiz and there's at least one soft chalk for all the topics. Microscopy is our very first topic, and we have those due on Friday too. So definitely look over that. I'm going to show you where the content is on microscopy soon. But those are your things. So every topic has a quiz and a soft chalk score. So I'm going to show you what those are. I take your top 10, your top 20. There are several. I think there's like 18 quizzes and I can't remember how many soft chalks, something like that. So I'm going to take your top 10. Several of them will drop if you don't score your best. I'm going to take your 10 best. And those two, the lab quizzes are 25% of your grade, and the soft chalk is also 25% of your grade. So half of your grade are doing the weekly topics with their lab quizzes and the soft chalks. Then we got the lab practicals. This is the, where the rubber meets the road, are the lab practicals. So The lab practicals are divided up into 4 lab practicals on our different topics. The bones themselves are all one lab practical. The muscles are all one lab practical. Nervous and senses are all one lab practical. And in the beginning, we've got microscopy, cytology, histology, and dermatology all lumped together in the very first topic, topic number 1, for the lab practical. So each lab practical has those 50 questions. They are fill in the blank. So our practice quizzes and our lab quizzes and our soft chalk also practice fill in the blank style. Spelling counts. Spelling counts. So lab is one of those where you're going to need to take your time and make sure that you've got not only you're familiar and you can recognize whatever it is, but can you spell it? Can you spell it? So maybe you want to practice this with a friend when we were talking about study skills. Maybe this is the one where you want to practice with a friend, a loved one, a study mate, a group, a partner. Maybe even just talk it out to your dog or your pet or whatever you got at home. But um, spelling counts here. So we've got lots of places to practice our fill in the blank with our lab practicals before we get there. The lab practical exams, it's the details on here. These guys are your exams, so they are going to be monitored with Respondus Lockdown Browser Monitor. The lab quizzes and the soft chalks are not using Respondus Lockdown Browser Monitor, but they are graded. So we do have graded lab quizzes. We have graded soft chalk scores. We have ungraded practice quizzes, though. So we got lots of practice quizzes. You can do those as many times as you want to. If you miss a lab practical, just like lecture exam, I allow one makeup with extenuating circumstances a semester. And then with the lab quizzes and the soft chalks, remember I told you I take your 10 best and the others get dropped. So if you miss some of those will be your drops. I don't make those up. I don't let y'all make those up. But if you miss a lab practical, that's a big deal. And if you got extenuating circumstances, we can make that up. The course schedule is different whether you're 8 weeks or 16 weeks, but it is in the syllabus and I've got it embedded in the class too. It's here in the syllabus. La 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 la. More policies. Again, the lab practicals are going to be with Respondus Lockdown Browser Monitor. Here is the tech that you need for that. It's the same tech that you need for it in lecture. No cheating, just like in lecture. On the exams, do not, please do not look to the side. You are not allowed to have any notes, no nothing for these tests. You got to know your material and you got to know it on site and you got to be able to spell it on site. So please do not do anything that I might construe as cheating. Look directly at your camera, at your computer, and knock out your test. You will have to do an environment scan just like we do in lecture. Scan your environment, show me, everything that's around your workspace, and make sure that everything is clear, that there's nothing there. And just go to town on that lab practical. Oh, your first attempt, it's lab practicals, you only get one attempt on those, and they are timed. If you miss a lab practical, again, extenuating circumstances, please let me know as soon as possible and we can get you rescheduled. More dates. Okay, that is syllabus for us. Let me show you some of the content. So remember I was telling you got to get that syllabus quiz done, because that's why we've got all these things that have these little eyeballs that are hidden. I don't know if y'all can see them on your end, but they are hidden until you score that perfect score on your syllabus quiz. So you've got to go do that first. Go do that first because microscopy is also due on Friday, and I don't want y'all missing out on the microscopy points because you didn't do your syllabus quiz. So please do that as soon as possible. I am recording this video on Monday. It's late on Monday, it's Monday night, but I'm recording this on the first day of class, so you've got time to get in here, do the syllabus quiz, and study for microscopy that'll be due on Friday. You've got time. You can do it. Yeah, so here are the current quizzes. Let's go to content first. Let's break this down. So the way the content is, we've got the let's get started startup stuff. And so we've got the, read me first, and this walks you through everything that you need to do. Read the syllabus. Again, syllabus and then the syllabus quiz. Got to do it. Once you do it and you score really well, all the other content unlocks, but you can't see it until you finish your quiz and score 100. There is a practice quiz with Respondus. So if you've never done Respondus, there's an opportunity to take the practice quiz just so you can see how it works. Yeah, and my contact info again, just one more time, talking to you about what we need to do, what is coming up. There's some microscopy stuff, read the exercise, do the practice ones, and do the soft chalk exercises. So that is the very first thing. Read that first. And then we've got the syllabus agreement quiz that I told you need to do. And then if you've never used Respondus before, we've got some great stuff here for you. And then the Respondus quiz that is like a generic Respondus quiz, just how to use it. We've got some more tips for success in here. There's the SQ5R reading method is another tips for success. So if you are struggling and you're like, I really just can't bring in all this content, this is, a reading strategy for you that might help different people learn different ways. And more college resources. I think I told one of the classes in my orientation video, but I can't remember. We have Georgia Highlands has a tutorial center on every campus where we can go for face-to-face tutoring. We also just partnered with tutor.com. So you can get tutoring 24/7 on tutor.com. And these are free resources. So please, please, I know this is a difficult class. And if you are struggling, and like maybe we can meet for office hours and everything works great, or maybe we meet for office hours and you're still struggling, maybe sometimes that tutor helps. Like sometimes another person can explain it to you differently and it clicks for you. And I personally used tutoring services when I was an undergrad, so I always will sing the praises of tutoring services. Don't don't be afraid to reach out and get a tutor. They are free. Your tuition is paying for it. So if you need any sort of student services, tutoring center, writing center, all of that good stuff, it's free. It's covered. Go check it out. All sorts of stuff. If you need, there's all sorts of resources, counseling, food pantry, lots of stuff in the student services. So it's all in there under our tips for success. Then, the very last stuff is the lab stuff. What do we need to do? So the very part of the lab resources, I've got the schedule, whether you're 8 weeks or 16 weeks, I've got the schedule at the top there for you and what is due on what day. On the 8 weekers, I've got your stuff due on Mondays and Fridays, sorry. 8 weekers are due on Fridays and Mondays. My 16 weekers are due every Monday is when I have y'all's assignments due. And so we had the lab resources broken down by lab exam, just like I have the lecture broken down by exam. So break it down by lab practical, and then we've got our learning stuff. This is how we're going to learn the content. And then we've got our graded stuff over here. So the learning stuff, microscopy is due on Friday. So let's go through that. We've got an interactive module as an option that we can click on. We've got interactive modules for microscopy. We've got the printable lab manual. So we redid the lab manual last year, I want to say 2023. We redid the lab manual and we made it paper-based for our face-to-face students, but it's also electronic. So we've got it here embedded in our classes for our online students too. So we got the printable lab manual if you want that, because some students really like to print it and like maybe take it with them to work, and they can't be on a device at work, but they may be able to have papers at work. So whatever works for you, that's an option for you to learn the material too. We got the printed lab manual, and then we got lots of videos on here. So I've got a video on here about microscope and walking you through the parts of the microscope and how to use a microscope. That's me in there. So I've got several videos, they're not all me, in here on different topics that we cover broken down by lab practical. So this is the learning section. And in the learning section, I wanted to just show you one of the interactive modules. It's right here. So this is the microscopy one, and we have microscopy again due on Friday. So microscopy talks you about the intro. It tells you the student activities. One of the first activities is soft chalk. It's in here as activity number 1. I'm going to tell you to hold off and don't do that right away because you don't know what you're answering on the soft chalk yet. So scroll through, learn this stuff a little before you go into soft chalk. Here is the material. So it's got the embedded video that I was telling you that I did for microscopy. Here's a video walking you through the microscope. We've got still imagery on the parts of the microscope too. We've got total magnification and calculating that here. We've got the distance, talk about field of view, depth of field, like how three-dimensional can you see down, how when you look through the thing is inverted. The image that you're seeing is an inversion of what it is in real life. All of this good stuff on microscopy is here. This is talking about the depth of the field. And then we got practice quizzes. So remember I was telling you can practice quiz to your heart's content? Practice quizzes. Here's one right here on microscopy at the very bottom of this interactive lab module. So you can practice, 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 and get familiar with it. And then come on up here and take this soft chalk. So I'm going to click on soft chalk and it's going to open this guy. So here's our microscopy soft chalk. Remember, these are graded. And you have to get to a 50%. Once you get to a 50% score, you can upload that and that will count towards your score. Of course, you want to get the best grade as possible, but a 50% will at least get you counted for completing soft chalk. So we've got different slides. So you've got the intro slide, and then it's the same content that we saw in our interactive stuff. It's just in the soft chalk version. So we've got several slides that we can scroll through, parts of the microscope, using the microscope, the different objectives, talking about inversion, the field of view and the depth of the field. And then here's our activity embedded in soft chalk. So I was telling you that they're graded, they're scored. So here's your first one. So here's microscopy activity number 1. You got a picture of a microscope, and then it's pointing to the different parts of the microscope, and you need to fill in the blanks for what this is. So blank is the name for the part of the microscope labeled number 1. So let's just attempt to, we're going to put, we're going to say that's the arm, and we're going to say number 2 is, so these are fill in the blank, right? So we're going to say number 2 is the nose piece. And then what is number 3? Number 3 is the stage, mechanical stage. And then part number 4, what is part number 4? Oh, okay, part number 4 is the focus knob. So it is the focus knob. And we're just gonna submit that and we could check our answers. Oh, look, they're all incorrect. So it is going to, oh no, we got one right. So we got arm right. But we are going to not get points for nose piece because it's probably called something else or spelled differently. Mechanical stage, maybe it was just called stage and not mechanical stage, but you can keep practicing these. So let's go back and see. Is it nose piece or is it something else? Let's go and look and see. Because sometimes different parts of the microscope are called different things in different places. Rotating nose piece, that's why I got marked off because I didn't have both words. So that's the kind of stuff that you're going to deal with in lab. Like you got to make sure you have all the words on there. Make sure that you're using, and I put mechanical stage and it's just got stage. So that's what we're going with. And when you complete your lab practical, I do go in. So don't freak out if you're like, but I put the thing. I do still manually go through and grade lab practicals. Like you'll get a score and it will grade and it will say, you know, what you scored on your lab practical. But I do go back through to look and see if there's any discrepancies or anything that could possibly get you those points back. So I do hand grade these things. But see, that's just an example of me just, you know, filling this out on the fly and seeing how it does. And it is very particular. So I want y'all to know how particular it is. Instead of it is the fine adjustment knob, the stage, just one word, and the rotating nose piece, 2 words. So my score was not so hot here, but you can keep doing it. You can keep doing it and get a proper score. And once you get over 50%, so the total for this event, this exercise right here is 153. So as long as you get over 75 points, you would get credit for the microscopy soft chalk lab. Once you do that, once you've got your soft chalk, you can upload it to the soft chalk assignment folder and get that done. Then you have your topic quiz. You're going to have your lab exercise quiz. Remember we said we have practice ones? So take a practice one, take the practice one on the microscope parts and see how you do. And then once you feel comfortable with that, then you can go and take um, your graded lab exercise quiz. So I'm going to go back to lab practical exam number 1, and then graded assignments. So graded assignments for lab practical 1. Here's our lab quiz, our microscopy. And again, it's due on Friday. So we need to get this done before Friday. So here's our microscopy quiz. Let me go back. No, lab practical exam 1. I want to go to the graded. There we go. Graded stuff. There's our quiz on microscopy. And then we have our soft chalk uploads. So here's where you're going to upload your score from soft chalk and put it in there. And once you've got at least a 50%, you get credit for the soft chalk. But ideally, you're going to score the best you can on soft chalk. And again, I'm going to take your top 10 soft chalks, and I'm going to take your top 10 lab quizzes. And there are several lab quizzes and there are several soft chalks, but you're going to try your best to learn this material and do really well on these lab quizzes and these soft chalks, because these are getting you prepared for the lab practical. The lab practical is going to be very, very similar to these quizzes, very, very similar to the soft chalks. It's going to, a picture of a microscope with a little arrow. What is this? And you're going to need to know the proper name, that instead of mechanical stage, it's just stage. Instead of nose piece, it's rotating nose piece. Those are the things that we're going to need to know for the lab practicals that are coming up. What else do I have for you? I think that's it as far as the content. Again, we can jump to destinations too. So we can jump to quizzes, we can jump to assignments if we need to. We've got the grading, and then, remember I was just telling y'all about resources and tutor? We've got a link here. That's sweet. We got a link to tutor.com right here in the tab. So that's awesome. Yeah, so please do check out the schedule on when things are due, and please let me know if you have any problems logging into the quiz. I think there was a little problem when we first tried this morning, but it should be resolved today. And everybody should be able to get in, do that syllabus agreement quiz, score a 100. Please get all 10 questions right. And then everything else opens up and you can dive right into microscopy. Start studying microscopy. That's going to be your first thing due on Friday. And then other people will have other stuff due at different dates, depending on if you're 8-week or 16-week. So please reach out. Let me know if you have any questions. And we're going to have a great semester in lab. It's tricky because we got to know how to spell everything. But it's a fun one. It's a fun one. And we've got lots of resources in here to learn the material. Just so many resources. I know that it's online and it's not quite the same as being in face-to-face, but we've got these interactive lab modules. We've got the printable lab manual. We have videos that support the different things. And depending on what lab practical it is, let me jump to lab practical 2. We have, because lab practical 2 is going to cover the bones. There we go. And with bones, we've got a 3D virtual skeleton that you can look and check out, and you can rotate the bones and look at the bones, the bone markings, all the different things on them. So that's really cool to check out for that. So there's lots of different resources in here to help you learn these things. And also, I think I mentioned it in the lecture videos, but just so y'all know, one more time, there's a building in the STEAM building on the Cartersville campus has something called the STEM room. It's on the second floor, and that STEM room is open whenever the building is open. So whenever the campus is open, that room is open. And so if anybody wants to go meet in that room and look at the skeleton, please do. You can look whenever the campus is open. So there's a full skeleton in that room. There's also a few other models for AP1 and AP2 in there. So if y'all want to have a study session and meet at the STEM room in Cartersville, that works too. If you cannot get to campus, because I know most of y'all can't and you're working full time and that's why you're taking this class online, we've got great resources like the 3D virtual skeleton. But I just want to tell y'all, anything possible to help y'all succeed. I'm trying to get it to you. So please let me know if you have any questions. Reach out. Let me know if anything's not working. And it's going to be a good semester. Thanks, guys.